Hi everyone, welcome to Cash Walks.
Today we're leaving Northern Ireland and we're heading across the border, heading south. And we have an interesting place to stop off on our journey.
Yes, come and see this interesting place.
We're heading to the town of Sligo on Ireland's west coast, but on the way there we're detouring to Doe Castle in Donegal. The castle was built in the 1420s on an inlet of Sheephaven Bay. For almost 200 years it was a medieval stronghold of the McSweeney chiefs. There is a bit of rain about, but it's a nice drive through the countryside. Since crossing the border, we've noticed the signs are in Irish and English. Here we are crossing the River Lurgy. We're going to a Doe Castle viewing point to search for a geocache before heading to explore the castle. It has 2 lanes marked, but it's going to be a tight squeeze. Phew. Another car's coming. Glad he's turning away.
A glimpse of the water on our left. And here's the viewing point.
Here we are at the cache location. Great view of Doe Castle over there.
Okay, what's on the sign then? Looks interesting.
Okay, now Doe Castle view. There is a legend that Aileen McSweeney threw herself out of the highest window of the castle after her father murdered her lover, Turlo O'Brien, son of his bitter enemy. Oh, that's a bit rough.
Okay, let's go up and have a look at the view.
Great views across the water of the inlet.
Okay, we've got the cache, let's head on to Doe Castle.
Narrow road here. Here comes another car. No, he's found a pulling over spot so we can go ahead. A wave of thanks as we go by. Getting used to these narrow roads, not as hard as they look, and the castle is well signposted since leaving the main road. There it is up in the distance. Plenty of parking space here today.
We're at Doe Castle. I'm really pleased to be here because one of my ancestors took control of the castle. It says here that in the struggle for power between the Irish and English in the 1600s, the castle changed hands many times, and Sir Charles Coote, one of my ancestors, was in control at one point. It has an interesting history. It says here that sailors from the 1588 Spanish Armada found refuge at Doe. So there's been a lot of things happening at this little castle here. So come on, let's have a look through it. What does this say, man?
Doe Castle sits deep in Shiphaven Bay, surrounded by tidal water on 3 sides, with a wide ditch carved out of the rock on the landward side.
There's a sally port. This sally port was a hidden passage which allowed those inside the castle to sally forth unobserved. Those steps and the underground passageways below lead to the postern or side door visible on the outside of the castle. The passage also leads to a small dark enclosed space under a square tower to the right of the entrance. Local tradition holds that it was a dungeon. And I think they're talking about this here. You can see some stairs down in there, going down to what looks like a little tunnel. Here's another information board. Gun loops and bartizans. I haven't heard of bartizans before. The entrance to the castle is by a causeway over a ditch cut into the rock, which is what we just crossed over. It is protected by walls with laid gun loops. There were also a matriculation above the inner doorway, which would have allowed missiles to be dropped on the attackers.
A carved face has been set into the stonework above the entrance. Corners are the most vulnerable part of the castle wall. 3 of the corners of the Bourne Wall at Doe are protected by bartizans which overhang the walls, creating space for defending soldiers.
This is a strange looking feature, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Tower and battlements. This 3/4 corner tower protects the north corner of the Bourne Wall. It is 3 stories high with gun loops at each level, looking out over Sheephaven Bay. The roof is made of stone, corbelling, and is crenellated. Okay. This is traditionally known as the Hanging Tower. This tower and the inner one on the northeast corner of the keep may be 16th century additions. On the seaside of the castle is a triangular walled garden, which is probably a late addition.
Now here's the garden.
General George Vaughan Hart, whose initials are above the doorway here, acquired the castle in the late 18th century. He rebuilt much of the castle and added new buildings, transforming Doe Castle into a country mansion. The work was finished by his son, John Vaughan Hart. In 1614, the castle was bought by Captain John Sandford. The early years of the 17th century had been a turbulent time in which the castle was taken and retaken with much destruction and firing of cannon. Captain Sandford repaired the castle and Bourne walls. Way up in there.
Be nice to go up the tower, but as you can see, it's not open. A little bit of a sort of turret here, isn't it? That's very cool. lots of defensive openings, aren't there, around the castle. Well, that brings us to the end of our cash walk here at Doe Castle. We hope you enjoyed the look around. Thanks for watching.
And don't forget to go geocaching.